This digital story is about the evolution of American football.
The big question is, how did football evolve into the sport that we know and love today?
The first game of football was played between Rutgers and Princeton in New Brunswick, New Jersey on November 6, 1869. Rutgers won the game 6-4, and the game was played with round balls. The game was similar to soccer or rugby, with players attempting to score by kicking the ball into the other team's goal. Players were not allowed to throw or carry the ball.
Walter Camp, who is known as the father of American football, is known as a prominent figure in the game. He played at Yale as a halfback from 1876 to 1881, and he also coached Yale from 1888 to 1892. He is known for introducing key elements such as the line of scrimmage, system of downs, and the 11-player format, which transformed the game into what it is today. From the 1880s to the 1900s, college football began transitioning from an unstructured rugby-like sport into a more organized game with formal rules. Many colleges began to create teams adopting the rules of Walter Camp. In 1876, Harvard, Princeton, Columbia, and Yale formed the IFA to create a unified set of rules. This organization established the basis for modern American football. By the early 1900s, college football had become increasingly violent. In 1905 alone, at least 18 players reportedly died from injuries, prompting national outrage and calls for reform to the game of football. President Theodore Roosevelt, a fan of the sport, stepped in to advocate for changes to ensure players' safety and the survival of the game. In 1906, representatives from colleges across the country came together to discuss how to make the game safer. This led to the formation of the NCAA. One proposed rule was the forward pass, intended to spread the field and prevent dangerous collisions. Before the 1920s, football was largely an amateur sport associated with colleges. The sport was disorganized with no standardized rules, regulations, or consistent league structure. On September 17, 1920, representatives from 11 football teams met at the Hub Mobile Auto Showroom in Canton, Ohio, to create the American Professional Football Association. Jim Thorpe, an Olympic hero and popular player, was elected as the league's first president due to his credibility and notoriety. The APFA enforced rules preventing players from jumping between teams, stabilizing rosters, and giving fans reliable teams to support. In 1922, the APFA changed its name to the National Football League to establish itself as a permanent and respected entity. In 1960, the American Football League was founded by a group of investors led by Lamar Hunt. He was the owner of the Dallas Texans, which is now the Kansas City Chiefs. This new league emerged in response to the NFL's refusal to grant expansion franchises to cities and investors outside of its current teams. The AFL set out to rival the NFL directly by targeting untapped markets. In June 1966, a merger agreement was announced between the NFL and AFL. The agreement outlined that the two leagues would merge by 1970, forming one unified league with two conferences, the American Football Conference and the National Football Conference. In 2007, the NFL initiated the International Series, hosting regular season games abroad. Since then, they have hosted 54 regular season games in 5 different countries. Every year, the league is dissecting ways to implement new rules to make the game safer and more engaging. This season, the NFL implemented a new kicking rule to allow for less dangerous impacts on kickoffs. The game of football will continue to evolve and grow as it continues to age itself.